Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Heart Guardian podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Aman Kapoor, and today we have an exciting and insightful discussion lined up for you. We are going to deep dive into the powerhouse of our heart, the myocardium. This is a remarkable muscle which keeps our heart pumping and our bodies thriving. But before we can get into the detail, let us set the scene. Imagine your heart is in a bustling city with roads, signals, and power plants. Myocardium is the powerhouse, the engine room that keeps everything moving so smoothly. Joining us today is the esteemed cardiologist Dr. Jagdish Hiremath with extensive experience in understanding and treating heart conditions. Dr. Hiremath, sir, welcome back. Let us start with the basic yet crucial question. What exactly is myocardium and why is it so important for our heart's function? Over to you, sir.
The heart muscle, myocardium. Human heart is situated in a secure bony rib cage. It weighs 400 grams and its size is of the human fist. It has valves, it has electrical system, it has plumbing system, and one of the most important systems of the heart is the heart muscle itself. Myo means muscle and heart is termed as cardium. So that's why the heart muscle is known as the myocardium. Almost 80% of this myocardium is situated in the left lower compartment, the left ventricle. This chamber is responsible for pumping out blood in the entire body from the heart. That's why it's made of such a strong muscle. Both the upper compartments hardly have any myocardium. The right ventricle also has some amount, but the entire muscle mass is in the left side. The contraction of this myocardium is a highly complex affair. It's just not in and out movement of the heart. It's a rotatory movement, twisting movement. It's a movement which builds up from the apex of the heart to the base of the heart. And it has so many geometrical variables that the muscle fibers are wound in such a way that each contraction results into pushing the blood into the aorta through the aortic valve. The work done by the myocardium is phenomenal. Therefore, it is provided with lot of blood supply through the coronary arteries. That is the plumbing system of the heart. Despite being a smallish organ of the body, the heart derives about 9% of the entire blood flow, indicating the importance of the myocardium. From the blood that is received, the myocardium gets glucose, oxygen, other nutrients, and the myocardium remains healthy and keeps relentlessly doing its job in an indefatigable manner. The other muscles of the body, like in the arms and the legs, are known as the skeletal muscles. The skeletal muscles are fatigable. That means after repeated movements, the muscle will get fatigue or pain. But the myocardium has no such luxuries. It has to keep pumping even in sleep. The contractions are 70 per minute, so 17 to 60 per hour, in 24 in one day, in 365 in 1 year, and in a lifespan of 75 years, the number has so many zeros, it goes out of the range of the calculator. To devise such a myocardium is again nature's marvel. And once again, it is our responsibility to look after it with all our might. The commonest abnormality that can happen to the myocardium is a permanent damage of the myocardium. 3 coronary arteries supply 3 parts of the myocardium. Say if one of them gets blocked, that area can get permanently damaged, and this is known as the heart attack or the myocardial infarction. Death is termed as infarction, and that's why the term myocardial infarction, which means actually a heart attack. If a portion of the myocardium dies, the pumping capacity of the left ventricle goes down. The left ventricle ejection fraction goes down. It is also known as LVEF. Normally, the left ventricle receives about 100 ml of blood from the left atrium. And when it pumps out about 60 ml in the aorta making the ejection fraction to be 60%. This calculation comes through looking at the heart through echocardiography. If a portion of the heart muscle dies or gets damaged, the ejection fraction can come down, and depends on the extent of the heart muscle, it will be turned as a mild, moderate or severe damage. The other disease that affects the heart muscle is cardiomyopathy. That means heart muscle disease. This can happen because of viral infections, because of chronic alcohol abuse, due to chemotherapy done for the cancers, and this results in paralysis of the heart muscle. Such a process leads to overall reduction in the ejection fraction, and it is termed as global hypokinesia. That means it's not moving enough. On one side is a weakness of the myocardium leading to low ejection fraction, and on other side is an excessive thickness of the myocardium called the hypertrophy. Just as a weightlifting brings about change in the biceps muscle, the muscle becomes thick, strong and tough. The myocardium also gets stronger and hypertrophied when the person has high blood pressure for some time, or a valve in the outflow gets narrowed down. There is a disease called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, in which the heart muscle is very thick by design, that means by birth. It is a genetic disease and can be seen in families. Keeping the myocardium healthy by way of taking good care of the coronary arteries mainly, and prevention of heart attack, is something which we all must know. If there is blood pressure, it needs to be controlled so that it doesn't lead to hypertrophy and other problems related to that. All in all, the myocardium gets disease, it results into heart failure, and severity of the heart failure depends on how badly affected is the myocardium. Miraculous medical treatments are now available by which once a desperate situation can be rosy due to certain drugs. If the heart continues to be weak despite these drugs, then pacemakers like CRTD and CRTP are used to improve the pumping capacity. If the disease is beyond the scope of these, then the artificial heart or the left ventricular assist device LVAD is used, and finally the final answer could be in the form of a heart transplant when the myocardial damage is irreversible and the life expectancy is less than 2 years. Other side of the spectrum is a hypertrophied heart, and that can be preserved by maybe replacing the narrowed valve. Sometimes the thick muscle is chemically burnt with the help of absolute alcohol. And of course, simple things like keeping the blood pressure well controlled is also one way of protecting the myocardium. Myocardium would be rated easily as the most important part of the human body, and taking care of this myocardium is of paramount importance.
I couldn't agree more with you, sir. And my dear friends, remember, myocardium is your powerhouse. It is the muscle that keeps your body running. So do take good care of it. And as always, you remember what to do. You have to share this podcast with all your friends, family members and listeners. And please, if you have not yet started following, then start following this podcast series, because it is one of the topmost podcast series in India for medical podcasts. For authentic information, this podcast series has been powered by Maharashtra Institute of Health Sciences and Madhabag Institute of Preventive Cardiology. So stay tuned till the next episode. And this is your host, Dr. Aman Kapoor, signing over and out. Bye-bye.